I'm here with Pamela Maile. We are in primary classroom in Marlboro School, and today's date is November 9th, 2016. I'm Benjamin Connor, and I will be the interviewer. We have Pamela Maile as our person. We have Benjamin Connor as me as the interviewer, and we have Benjamin Kowalski on the filming camera. We have Rosalie Smith on audio, and we have Josh Mercier on still camera. We also have lighting, okay. Alright, I'm going to ask you a few questions about your background.
Okay.
Alright, so how many years have you lived in Marlboro?
I've lived in Marlboro almost 2 years.
Alright, where were you born?
I was born in New Jersey, northern New Jersey, not far from New York City.
Between those two lifestyles, where did you live in between? Like, did you live anywhere else?
Yeah, I went to college in North Carolina and lived in Oregon, Ashland, Oregon, southern Oregon.
So what school did you go to when you were young?
I went to Dickerson Elementary School in Chester, New Jersey, and then we had an upper elementary school, and then a middle school, and then a high school. So I went to high school in Mendham, New Jersey.
Did you ever travel a lot, or do you travel a lot now?
I traveled a lot in high school and in college and in between. I used to travel around the country a lot.
Remember, like, where you traveled to?
I've been to most of this country, and I did an internship in college in Kenya, so I spent a couple months there living in different parts of Kenya. Yeah, that's about it though.
This is a odd question, but how would you describe yourself as a child?
As a child?
Yes.
I always wanted to be a teacher. I used to play teacher all the time, but I was the teacher and everybody else had to be my students, and and I would set up classrooms and kind of do what I do now. Yeah.
What did you do between finishing high school and going to college?
Finishing high school and going to college, I worked in between high school and college to try to save up money for college. I worked at a Quick Pick. Do you know what a Quick Pick is?
I do not know what a Quick Pick is.
It's a convenience store that has a gas station.
Ah.
Yeah, and a deli. And in New Jersey, you can't pump your own gas, so sometimes I got to pump gas, and it was the first time, since you can't do it unless you're an official gas pumper. Yeah.
May I ask you how old you are?
I'm 45.
How many brothers and or sisters have you had when you were a child, or right now?
I, as a child, had 2 brothers and a sister, and I still have them. I'm the youngest of 4.
May I ask their names?
Yep, Steven's right above me, and he is a year and a half older than me, and then Jeff is a year and a half older than him, and then my sister Donna, who is 4 years older than me.
What are your parents' names?
Kathleen and Carl.
What have been their career? What have their careers been?
My dad was an engineer for the Defense Department. Yep, retired. And my mother was mostly a bookkeeper. So my mom, though, she didn't go to college. And so when we were children, she would work during the day, and she went to college twice a week at night to get her associate's degree. So it took her 10 years to get her 2-year degree, so that she could get a job as a accountant kind of thing, not like a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Company. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is your physical?
What did you say?
It says, what is your physical street address in Marlboro, sorry.
Oh, where do I live in Marlboro?
Yeah.
I live on South Road in Marlboro, not far from the college.
Alright,
I want to know
who
the
are you
exact
in?
Address, Josh, Ben, the address,
Oh, what's your address, sorry?
physical address.
My physical address is 1772 South Street, South Road.
From whom are you renting the house you live in?
I rent from Louise Cochran and Jim Levinson, my next door neighbors.
Aside from Marlboro, where else have you lived as an adult?
Brattleboro for a long time. A little while over in Spofford while I was working at Keene State. And before that, Ashland, Oregon, and Greensboro, North Carolina, and Chester, New Jersey.
Would you talk about why your children and you decided to move to Marlboro, this town, Marlboro?
To Marlboro specifically, or Vermont?
Marlboro specifically.
When I first moved to Vermont, I worked at Neighborhood Schoolhouse in Brattleboro and had heard about Marlboro School and what an amazing school was located not very far away. It's very hard to find houses to live in Marlboro though. So, try as I might, never did find a place to live in Marlboro. And Lily was heading into junior high, and I really wanted her to be able to go to the junior high in Marlboro. I'd heard so many amazing things about it. So it just all worked out kind of perfect. Louise happened to be renting, and Gail Greenleaf, the Spanish teacher, sent me a phone number of somebody else who was renting. Oh, Pamela Burke, actually. And her place was too small for us, and so she gave me Louise's phone number, and I just happened to get lucky with timing and was able to rent it right before Lily started in junior high, and so now we're hoping to buy it. So we'll see what happens.
Alright, so what are your children's names, if you have children?
Lily Ann Hellenberg, and her brother's name is Caden.
Who are their teachers?
Lily's in the junior high with Tim and Rachel, and Caden is in college at Kent State in Ohio.
Alright, now work-related questions. What was your plan of study here?
Here in Marlboro, or you mean like when I was in college?
Like here in general, kind of.
My plan of study?
Yeah.
I guess I don't really know what you mean by that. You mean like, what was I planning on teaching?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the big goal in primary is reading and math and loving school. So if you can, investigate science and your community and still learn to read and do math and love school, then things are going pretty good.
Well, where did you graduate school, and what was your concentration of study there?
I graduated from University of North Carolina in Greensboro, and my undergrad degree was in child development and family relations, and then I went back to school for my early ed.
During your working life, what jobs have you had aside from teaching?
When I graduated college, you mean after college?
Yes.
When I graduated college, I started working at a school in Oregon, and I've always been a teacher ever since. That's all I've ever done.
Please describe your very paying job.
Please describe my what?
Very paying job.
Would you read that question again, Ben?
Period. Please describe your very paying job. Period.
Okay, your very first, that's my error.
Sorry.
Your very first
Very
paying
first
job.
job.
That makes more sense.
Ah,
My very first paying job ever
yes.
was an ice cream scooper in Chester, New Jersey. I worked in an ice cream store, and it was very popular. We'd have lines out the door, and so I scooped ice cream as my very first paying job. Well, I guess babysitting would have been my very first paying job. The neighbor's kids.
Well, how old were you at the time?
I think I was 14.
How many years of schooling did you take to become a certified teacher?
It took about 6 years to become certified. That was my undergrad and beyond.
How did you come to realize that you wanted to work as a teacher of children?
Well, I always wanted to be a teacher when I was little, and I did do an internship in Kenya so that I kind of thought I would be teaching overseas, was the original idea. And then I started working in college. Another internship I did was working with abused and neglected children. And so I kind of came to the realization that people in this country also need good teachers. So I decided to start in the schools in Oregon, and then just stayed.
For this job as a teacher, why have you decided to continue it?
Why do I continue being a teacher?
What inspires you to keep on going?
No day is ever the same. It's every moment of every day is different, and you kind of can't beat being able to help a child learn to read and inspire them to stay in school and love school. It's a pretty awesome job.
So for how many years in total have you been a teacher?
Over 23 years.
What else have you taught? Or where else have you taught?
I have taught at Academy School. I was a first grade teacher and a second grade teacher, and I looped. I kept the same class for 2 years, and then I became just a straight second grade teacher. I was a reading and math specialist for a few years there as well, and I worked at Neighborhood Schoolhouse. And before that, I worked at Keene State. Neighborhood Schoolhouse, Keene State were all pre-K kindergarten, and then before that preschool.
Do you have favorite grades to teach?
What was that?
Do you have favorite grades to teach?
First and second grade is my favorite grades to teach.
Do you have a favorite subject area or topics to teach?
My favorite, that's a tough one. Can I say more than one?
Yes, if you want.
I really love math. Like, I always struggled with math when I was a kid, so I really love teaching math, and I really love making it as exciting as I can. But I also love science, and just because everyone gets so excited about science.
Yeah.
It's pretty fun, especially with little ones.
What are some reasons why you accepted the position as a primary room teacher at Marlboro School?
My own child has been extremely happy at Marlboro School. I've always heard about Marlboro's reputation for being very child-focused and developmentally appropriate for where kids are, and allowing teachers to use as much creativity as they would like in their classrooms. And so I've always wanted to teach here.
Who do you say has influenced you in your teaching style?
I think that the biggest influence in my teaching style has been other teachers, little bits and pieces from other people who I have worked with, or my own children have had, who I really loved the way they taught, and so I would say they inspired me the most.
You mean like, what did they do that inspired you to become a teacher?
Oh, do you mean like way back in the day?
Yeah.
I think actually, if you're talking about like why I got into teaching to begin with,
Yeah.
way back in the day, I would say my mom. Not that she told me to become a teacher, but that she encouraged me to give to society. You know what I mean? To help take care of people. And I think that when you're a teacher, you do all sorts of jobs beyond just helping them learn to read and write.
This is a hard question, but will you please describe a typical work lifestyle, a typical work day for you at the Marlboro School?
A typical day at
Yeah.
the Marlboro School.
Read the whole question then.
From when you wake up to when you get here to Marlboro School to when you go home and go to bed.
Okay. So when I wake up, I kind of rush out the door to try to get here as early as possible. And I start setting up. I like to be here like an hour before the kids so that I have, even if everything's ready, just to be in the right space. As the kids come in, I meet them outside and greet them and tell them, what to expect. Today, everyone got to be the manager, so that was a big deal. But manager's like, head of the classroom. And so, tell them something special about the day, greet them, have them come in, do their morning jobs. And we start with table time so we can check in with kids and see how they're doing and get their lunch orders. Is this what you need?
Yeah. That's really cool.
And then we have a morning meeting. So once everyone's here and had food in their bellies and it seems like they're doing well, we have a morning meeting where we sing songs and we go over the schedule, we read the message, we find out what jobs we have for the day. We usually play a game. We've been really stuck on this beanbag game where we've got 16 beanbags going at once right now, so we're trying to beat that record. It's pretty exciting. And then we head into literacy centers where kids rotate to 4 different centers throughout the literacy time. And then we have runaround time, which is a break. And so they go outside and they run around. They usually play tag games. And that's usually where we do a lot of social learning at that point, where we learn about how to be kind and how to play games together, as well as at recess time. And then we come into math. And so math time is usually when we do a calendar in the county house, like how many days we've been in school. The assistant teacher gets to do that job of running the days of school. And lately it's been a game show, so they have a mallet for the bell and they use it as a microphone and they ask the class questions like, how many is 10 more than 45? You know, if this is the 45th day of school. So things like that. And then we head into our math groups. And after that, they have recess. And recess here, the unique thing here is that we do preview before recess. I don't know if the older kids do it, but we go around and we find out, we make a plan for our recess time. Where we're going to go, who we plan on playing with, inviting other people to join us, things like that. And then recess time and lunch. Same with lunch. Another unique thing, I don't know if all of you know that because you've been raised coming here, but going to each other's classrooms, being invited to lunch is very unique. I've never seen that before. So the kids, after their hands are washed, it's a time to tell me where they're going and who's going to be visiting us for that day. So that's pretty exciting part of the day. And then we have typically some sort of a special after lunch. There's a lot of specials. There's, you know, tomorrow's, after the Harvest Feast, we also have music. And then we usually have social studies or science after a special. And then choice time. We do choice time every day. It's fun. Yeah. And when we end our day outside.
What do you feel is most important?
What's my job that I find just tricky?
Yeah.
I think the hardest part of my job is teaching children how to get along with each other. In this class, it's tricky to teach them that if you play tag, that means you want to get tagged. Like, it's okay to get tagged.
Yeah.
That's their big struggle this year. They don't like to get tagged, but they want to play tag.
Fun.
Yeah, it's hard. But that's the worst thing that happens. I'm doing pretty good.
What are some of the ways that the job of teaching primary age students have changed over the course of your teaching career so far?
I would say No Child Left Behind has changed a lot of how teaching happens. This, you know, the SBAC, before that it was the kneecap testing, and even though they're such very young children, the expectation, not, at Marlboro, this is not necessarily the case where I have any pressure for that, but being able to get kids fluent on keyboards, for example. By second grade, they should, you know, because in third grade they're going to be taking an online test. So that's very different to be integrating keyboarding into first and second grade. The other thing that's very different is the use of technology in primary. Good or bad, you know, like we're starting a space unit, so we're hoping to pair up with Rochelle to bring in some technology, maybe create movies about space. See what happens. Yeah.
What are some of the ways students have changed over time? Like you as a child in school.
How I have changed, or how the children have changed over the years I've been teaching?
How like you have changed over the years?
How have I changed over the years?
Actually, children. From when you were a child and what your recollection of school was like, and versus how it seems to you today as an adult and as a teacher.
Well, when I was a child, you didn't, when you went to kindergarten, that was when you first even learned letters or colors. You definitely didn't learn, reading didn't come until first and second grade. Children, we didn't have as screen time as like there is now. So we would spend a lot more time outside of school, outside. Which again, I feel like the kids in Marlboro get a lot more outside time than kids in Brattleboro, where it's not quite the same environment. So I think that that's changed quite a bit over time. I also think there was a lot more of very teacher-directed, especially as you got a little older in school. By the time you were in 5th grade, you definitely sat and listened, which I know is common in a lot of schools, but in the schools that I've worked at, I think that teachers have worked very hard to make sure that kids aren't just sitting and being talked at all day long. But that was pretty much what we did. I talked at all day long.
What are some of the things about Marlboro School that you find unique?
Well, starting with the connection that kids have with teachers. I think that kids and teachers kind of grown up together. There's so few kids that, so first thing that's unique is that the children all know each other just as well as they would know a sibling. even by second grade, because they've known each other all the way from preschool, and there's such a small group of them that they know a lot about each other, and good and bad. They know how to make each other feel great, and they know how to really push each other's buttons. The other thing that's really unique is the playground is really unique. The idea that kids have that incredible amount of space to play and explore, the woods and the fort building, is something I've never seen to this scale before. The way that the older kids, the junior high kids and the South Al kids, help take care of the younger kids, like if someone's having a hard time on the playground, I've seen them often come and give them good advice or help take care of them. There's a nice feeling of being mentors in this school. And my students feel it so much that when we went on a field trip with the kindergartners, they took on the role of junior high kids and were the buddies for the little ones. And they really, you could tell that they learned from the older kids how to do that. Like they made sure they kept track of their little one, even though they're really only 1 year younger. And they really understand what that means at a young age, what it means to be one of the older kids and to take care of the younger kids. So it's very unique.
How would you describe the educational philosophy of MES?
The educational philosophy of Marlboro. I think that Marlboro strives to reach kids where they are when it comes to their education and to help bring them to another level in their education. I also think that they try to get kids excited about their learning, and try to make sure that what they're studying they're invested in. So like, for example, in Erica's classroom, the compost scene, they know all about worms and compost and dirt and are every day taking on the job of the compost in our classrooms and coming in. And it's not just a visit this and leave. It's they're really invested in what they're doing and what they're learning.
What are some of the benefits of living in the same town in which you teach? Are there any difficult parts?
The benefits of living in the same town is that you really get to know the kids and their families. So you know that one of your kids was able to find some sort of creature at the pond this weekend because you were there to see it. And the benefit is also, it's a very small community, so it seems pretty close. You know, so like today, some parents brought us, all the teachers, in some herbal tea, maybe a card. I mean, it's just a really nice community, and being in such a small place, I think that helps, that makes that happen. And the challenge, I think, is the challenge is I think it'd be hard to have such small class sizes sometimes. I mean, some of the classes are not small, but sometimes if a child is just needing some space and they all know each other so well that it's harder to maybe find someone else to be with for a little while. I think that can be hard sometimes.
Kind of different question, but what authors or kind of books do you read for the sake of it?
So here in the classroom, I love to do author studies. So we just finished a Mo Willems author study. And they did study Eric Carle last year, so we just touched on it a little bit before our trip. But we studied Mo Willems, and we're going to be moving into Patricia Polacco books. So it kind of depends on the group. So if I have a silly group, we might be looking at authors that are a little more goofy, like Mo Willems. So, you know, I have mostly boys in this class who love to act out stories and be elephant piggy, things like that. So we'll see what comes. I like to try to follow their interests. So, you know, we're studying space because we were doing bubbles to start the year, and the kids were, we read a story where a baby got stuck in a bubble and traveled around. Anyway, so the kids got to pick where they wanted to travel inside their bubble, and some of them picked outer space. So we're going to explore that idea. So we'll see where that leads us when it comes to what books we're reading.
When you talk about some of your interests outside of work as a teacher?
I like skiing. That's one of my favorite things. I have been teaching skiing on the weekends and last night. So I'm pretty into skiing, and I play softball. And I just love, my favorite thing in the whole world to do is to be outside reading in my hammock. In my beautiful yard with all those beautiful trees.
Is there anything else you, in your life in Marlboro, or your job that you would like to mention that we haven't asked you yet?
I don't think so. I think that Marlboro has an incredibly committed teachers. So I guess that's something that I've noticed right away.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.